This week in Jamaica Now, Health Ministry confirms that the new variant of COVID-19 is in Jamaica.
We have 26 out of 92 samples that have shown the mu, or what they call a mu-like variant.
Strict COVID measures could be extended. Preacher confronts Prime Minister on vaccination drive.
If we repent and turn from our wicked ways as a nation, God said He will heal a land.
Ruel, Reid and Fritz Pinnock still pulling down $11 million a year. Grief as a Hanover cop collapses on the job and dies. Jamaica earns valuable point in Costa Rica match. And remembering the 9/11 attacks 20 years later. I'm Damian Mitchell and this is Jamaica Now. There is renewed concern in Jamaica. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton has reported that the new variant of COVID-19 is here. On August 21, some 92 samples were sent to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention for testing. 26 were positive for the new variant. 55 were positive for the Delta variant.
While it is listed as a variant of interest and it has the potential to be of concern because of the potential increased immune escape, which is that it can evade the body's attempts to destroy the virus and to produce antibodies, and it can evade the antibodies. It has the potential for that. The mu has mutations that might confirm some of these properties, but it is still being investigated. The WHO has said preliminarily that evidence suggests that the mu variant could partially evade the antibodies we get from vaccination. So this is even more reason why it is that we need to decrease exposure.
The revelations mean that Jamaica has now confirmed 2 virulent strains of COVID in 2 months. Last month, the Delta variant was confirmed. And Jamaica's Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie, on Thursday night reported improvements in the key indicators of the COVID management, but warned that strict containment measures may have to continue. For the past 3 weeks, Jamaica has been seeing Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays as no-movement days and tighter curfew hours for the other 4 days. The tightened measures are scheduled to end on September 14, 2021.
Now, it's still early days because we're just seeing the bend going down. And it means that we may have to continue with some of these restrictions that we have in place in order to keep that reproductive rate down and pretty much get it below 1. We want to get it back down to 0.7 and even below. 0.7 was where we were in July, and 0.3 was where we were at last year, July. So we want to get it back to down those levels. That would certainly indicate that the level of exposure in country is reduced, and that will certainly result in a reduction in our numbers.
To date, Jamaica has recorded more than 74,000 COVID cases and more than 1,600 deaths. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Andrew Holness continued his vaccination drive this week. In the community of Grand Spence St. Andrew, Holness was confronted by Lynette Brown, a Jamaica Labour Party delegate turned preacher.
We're no better than 80. No, we're not. If we repent and turn from our wicked ways as a nation, God said He will heal a land. He said, if my people, who are called by my name, would humble themselves and pray, seek my face and turn from our wicked ways. Lay down and prostrate and say, Lord, show in a late. If God tell me that it is, oh God, Mr. Angela. If God said that, that's what He meant.
Today we have our leaders. We have our Prime Minister, we have the Cabinet, but there are also leaders who have been anointed with a sense of science. That they can look at the natural situation of things and they can take the natural situation and bring it to bear. So people are saying that the vaccines are unnatural. There's nothing unnatural. God created it through man and gave man the intelligence. Now there is an argument that sometimes man go too far and try to change up nature and this and that. I'm not going into that conversation. The conversation that I am wanting to have with you is that taking the vaccine does not in any way reduce your faith in God.
The Prime Minister has been heading to several communities to seek to convince more people to take the vaccine. This week, the Health Minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton, reported that in another month, about 20% of the population should be fully vaccinated. In the meantime, the Health Ministry has now suspended the administration of the first dose of the Pfizer vaccine. This is to ensure that there are sufficient supplies for people who will be due their second dose in a matter of weeks. Taxpayers are still financing multi-million-dollar salaries for the scandal-scarred Ruel Reid, the presumed principal of the Jamaica College in St. Andrew, and Professor Fritz Pinnock, the substantive president of the Caribbean Maritime University, CMU. Interim leaders are also receiving salaries. Reid, a one-time confidant of Prime Minister Andrew Holness, is still being paid as principal at JC, the all-boys high school located at 189 Old Hope Road. Pinnock also received a salary from CMU up to the end of August. Both have been paid more than $11 million annually since they were criminally charged in 2019. Reid is being paid $4.6 million a year and Pinnock $6.8 million. At the same time, taxpayers are funding the paycheck for Wayne Robinson, who has been acting principal since 2016 when Reid was seconded as Education Minister. After Reid quit as pressure from investigators grew, Holness took charge of the portfolio and effectively gave approval for the special leave applications. Pinnock and Reid became embroiled in a multi-million-dollar fraud and corruption probe. Reid's wife, Sharon, their daughter, Sherelle, Professor Pinnock, and Municipal Councillor Kim Brown Lawrence were also charged. There was raw grief at the Hanover Police Headquarters this week as Police Inspector Michael Brown collapsed on the job and died. His death has also left colleagues in shock.
We were laughing and talking about certain issues, and then I started seeing like he had a fit, and he went down on the ground, and I held him, and I was talking to him, asking him, you know, if he's okay, trying to revive him, and you know, he wasn't responding. And I made an alarm, and some of my other colleagues came.
We summoned the ambulance, and the ambulance came, and we took him to the hospital, and they tried to resuscitate him, and that was it. He was stationed in Westmoreland at some point, St. James and Hanover.
Okay.
But he had a situation, he had a heart condition. I really don't know how severe it was, but he was ailing from that condition.
Inspector Brown died as he was near the end of his shift. Jamaica's Reggae Boys secured their first point in the FIFA World Cup qualifying final round this week with a 1-1 draw against hosts Costa Rica. Jamaica looked to be the better team in the second half. However, a well-placed cross from left-back Kemar Lawrence found Shamar Nicholson unmarked in the area. He was able to beat Kayla Navas in the Costa Rica goal in the 47th minute. Jamaica, however, remains 8th and last in the table. The Caribbean Examinations Council, CXC, is reporting that the exam results will be released in early to mid-October. The regional exams were conducted between June and July. In a statement, CXC said it is working assiduously to minimize the impact of the delays occasioned by the disruption of COVID-19 protocols on the logistical operations associated with the marking, grading, and release of examination results. CXC says its team is in contact with the regional and international higher education institutions to communicate the timing of the release of exam results to minimize the possibility of students being disadvantaged during the matriculation process. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. Like this video on our YouTube page, subscribe today and turn on your notifications. I'm Damian Mitchell, and before we go, remembering the 9/11 attacks 20 years later.